sorry, Nico and I are in the same room, but I'm going to be very quick. Hi everyone, just want to say a big thank you for everyone to attend. Welcome back to another Rehab and Therapy's Culture Cafe, and a big thank you as always to Penny Agent and Lauren Berry for continuing to support Culture Cafe. I'm not going to be talking for long. I'm going to hand over to Karen to be hosting the event, and yeah, we'll hear from her. Thanks. And I'm going to be recording the event, so just keep that in mind for cameras and things if that's something you're worried about. Thanks.
Thank you, Raz. And Gonge Factory, everybody. So we're here today for Culture Cafe. Culture Cafe, unless you don't know what it is actually a platform that we host on a regular basis, which help us share and hear stories from people from a diversity of backgrounds and experiences. And today is a very special day because it's the first day of the lunar calendar, or the first day of Spring Festival, which is often known or referred to as Chinese New Year. And we have three amazing speakers from different experiences and Chinese cultures who are going to share their experiences of what Chinese New Year and the Spring Festival means to them, and also how they celebrate it. And after that, we'll have time for question and answers. So without further ado, I will pass on to the first speaker, Howey OU, who's here today with us. Howey is a 19-year-old dedicated vegan and minimalist, climate activist, and a Buddhist learner. She's been nominated for the first UN Youth Climate Summit in 2019, and she's often reported in the New York Times. I live in Greenwich, and in Greenwich there's a big mural of young climate activists been painted on the wall in someone's house, and Howey is right up there in the middle of this. So I'm very pleased to hear from you today. And just to say that this year is the Year of the Tiger, which is a year which is about strength and bravery and courage, and this is very fitting to pass the voice on to Howey.
So hi everyone, my name is Owie and I'm a climate activist, as Karen introduced. Currently I'm in London, and as part of the tour in Europe to exchange my experiences and share a true Chinese story to more European people, as a lot of international media doesn't report as it is. So most of my New Year's are spending in China as a student that have my primary school and middle school and high school in China. Usually in the Spring Festival, we are on a Spring Festival holiday, and as the second largest holiday of the whole year. And usually before the Spring Festival, we will have 3 days for the last 3 days at school to learn about how to prevent the unexpected fires during the Spring Festival, because to have the fireworks are usually our traditions. And several years ago, there are the regulations to prevent the air pollution during the Spring Festival. And in my city, Guilin, which is a southern city in China, I can share some of the photos. I hope you can see it well. It's an international tourism city, so it has some beautiful sceneries. So for my city, if there is the unexpected fires and fireworks in the restricted areas, then people will fine about 50,000 to 120,000 yuan for the fine. So several years ago, me and other students stopped to fire the fireworks. But before, because usually in every block of the city, there will be stores temporarily on the streets to selling all different kinds of fireworks, and there are hundreds of them, and every fireworks have different sound and different light. So it is really a great fun to play fireworks with my cousins, and at this annual gathering time of the almost all the family members. And during this time, we still visited our relatives. And even though it is the relatives that are far away, we were still gathering together. And during this time, usually some immigrant workers, they will go back to their hometown in the villages as well to gathering with their family. So I remember myself when there are these ban for the fireworks. That year, I think it's 2017 or 18. The air quality is still very bad. Sometimes we even cannot see the things like 10 meters away, I remember. And that day I had a walk with my mom in the block, and I saw some neighbors still firing the fireworks. So I reminded them about this ban, because almost there are notifications on every buildings of the residence building that posted there, but maybe some people haven't really carefully reading it. And also I try to call the number that left it on the poster to report to the administration, but that time I didn't have a very active response. But I'm very glad that I try to let people know these regulations. So I think the Spring Festival, it is usually a time for us to gather, and this is a good time to spend with family. So this is most of my sharing, and I will pass it back to Karen. Thanks.
Thank you, Howey. That's really interesting what you say about the changes in celebrations over the years and about the special time with family. And actually, I suppose what you say about air quality is also quite relevant to our work, because we work in a respiratory specialist hospital. In fact, our next speaker, Nico CHANE, is a rotational respiratory physiotherapist at the Brompton. So I'll pass on to you, Nico, now. Thank you, Howey.
Thank you, Karen. I'm just going to try and share my screen. I've got a few slides. Can you see it? There. Right. Can you see this? Yes, we can. Great. Okay. So, well, I call it Chinese New Year. So just because I'm from a Chinese background. So this is me and my sister on Chinese New Year, like probably a few years back. So just a little bit about where I'm from, just so you have a bit of a background. So basically I'm from Reunion Island, which is a French island near Mauritius in the Indian Ocean, which is, you can't even see it on the map there, but basically it's over there. And it's just a beautiful island, to be honest, but that's not the point. It's very multicultural population. So it was initially colonized by Portugal in the 16th century, and then by France, and then it followed by the British, who took over, and then it went back to the French, who actually brought a lot of Indians, Africans, and a lot of Chinese people as workers. That's why it made it really multicultural. And this is why basically where my family is from. So I'm the third generation who immigrated to Reunion Island, and now it's the Department of France, and this is the little flag there. So my normal Chinese New Year starts with, normally we just wear all red, or used to wear red. Obviously you can't really do that in the hospital, but it used to mean what it means, prosperity, and we only wear new clothes I don't know why. It's just traditional, and we only wear new clothes, and we're not allowed to do any housework. I can't quite remember why, but it was just how it is. So the day starts by going to the temple, and this is actually the temple I used to go to. It's so all my ancestors have been there, and when they die, basically they have a little tomb, like a little plaque that they leave there. So we usually go there to do prayers and offerings, and yeah, and well, a thing that is, I think it's just, I don't know if it's like that in China, but there are some statues in the temple, like this one, which is actually the one in the actual temple I'm from, I guess. Every year there's a 9-year-old kid who washes and cleans all the statues, and I was quite lucky to be one of them. And it always happens on New Year's, on Chinese New Year's Day. Again, I can't remember what it means, but it just happens. Maybe it's just so they get free free cleaning service. I don't know, but but this is a tradition. And then there's lots of like a little show, and we set aside some of those Chinese incense, and those offerings, those little paper, like golden paper. Essentially, if you burn them, it kind of it means that it goes to your ancestors and the deads. So you send them money essentially, and you do the same with, well, you don't burn the food, but you kind of just do a little shake on it, and with a prayer, and that goes to your ancestors and your dead and the deads. Yeah, and that goes with any food and drinks, a lot of alcohol normally as well, because apparently they're quite deprived on the other side. So yeah, there you go. And this is a hongbao. So usually it just goes to the kids, which is also a bit of a shame, but it's just a gift that we give to the little kids. So it's got money in it. And again, unfortunately, I can't quite remember what it means, but the red is obviously prosperity. Yeah, I think that's all on this slide. Oh yeah, Chinese New Year show. So we always, on Chinese New Year, there's a dragon dance, lion dance shows, and like other dance shows. And it always happens. Like it's just a very festive environment. There's just literally dancers everywhere, like in the streets. They usually just close the whole street as well. So there's a lot of celebrations in that street, and firecrackers as well. So the meaning of, well, from where I'm from, the meaning of those dragon and lion dances and the firecrackers is to prevent the demons from coming to the festive area, essentially, and to try and obviously make the temple, I know, free of demons, essentially. So obviously just the firecrackers, because it's quite loud and stuff, it's meant to scare the demons. So yeah, that's just another tradition. Oh yeah, one really good thing that we do for Chinese New Year is a 9-course dinner. So obviously it's a lot of food. So normally you have to pay it yourself, but it never happens. So there's rice, and each one of the dishes have a meaning. Again, I can't remember what, but we usually have noodle at the end of the meal, so as the 9th meal. And essentially what it means, because the noodles are quite long and it's long food, it means longevity. So that's why we eat it. And I think the fish, because it's called yu in Chinese, I think it means a lot, but my Chinese is very rusty, so I wouldn't bet on that. But yeah, that's it. So just so what Chinese New Year means to me is usually a day spent with my family. obviously in the last, because I moved to the UK 5 years ago, I've unfortunately not been able to celebrate Chinese New Year with my family. But it's a day, definitely a day to remember my ancestors and where I'm from and my history. Just because, as I said before, because we're an immigrant family, isolated on the island, so it's good to remember where we're from. But also, definitely a day where we have lots and lots of foods. And that's it. You're getting quiet.
Wow, thank you, Nico. A very multicultural celebration then, it seems. Thank you very, very much. I'll pass on to our next speaker, TSANG, first of all, and then we can take questions. And I see there are some comments in the chat as well, so if that's okay. So TSANG is a consultant therapeutic radiographer at Mount Vernon Cancer Centre and also associate professor at London South Bank University, chair of East of England Ethnic Minority Network and Ethnic Minority Strategic Advisory Group representative. Thank you, Yet. Over to you.
Thanks, Karen. It's great to be here today. And then, but I want to say that, you know, I'm definitely much older than Nicole and our first speakers. So and so all my memories about Chinese New Year from my childhood may be a bit hasty. So and the other thing is unfortunately, and unlike Nicole, you know, all my pictures is hard copies. I don't really have electronic copies when I was a kid, so I can't really show you, you know, the pictures when I was young. And so a lot of times I would say that my slides mostly on Google, and but at the same time I would say that, you know, as Karen and Raz say that, you know, we want this to be more interactive sessions. So by any times that, you know, during our presentations that, you know, you want to and raise questions and want a discussion point, please just stop me. I think there's no problem at all, because I was long debate about this to see if I should do slides, but I think the comments we got there, I think from some slides at least people got some pictures to look at. I think it'd be good a starting point for engagement. So if I share my screen with you all now. Slideshow. Here you go. So when I do slideshow, I think everyone's quite familiar with team. I can't really see the screen anymore. So that, you know, Karen, that, you know, if we've got a group that very polite, they use the raise hand button, would you mind letting me know? Or actually the group just feel free to shout out, you know, there's no problem at all. And so as Karen said, that my name is TSANG, so I work at Mount Vernon Cancer Centre for my clinical role, and which actually we are quite close, working relationship with Brompton. So we got a lot of referral between cancer and the lung team as well. So and then hopefully that, you know, FPA is good contact to get to know you all, so that, you know, so hopefully get the working relationship even better. So a bit of a background. So my parents actually from Hong Kong. So my dad's from Hong Kong, my mom's from Taiwan. So from my childhood for Chinese New Year, that actually I travel in between two cities. And for my brother, because both my parents, they were working. So that's why, you know, for any half term or school break that, you know, usually we go back to see my grandma and grandpa. So they look after us. So then, so for my memories about Chinese New Year, I would say 90% of my Chinese New Year actually I spent in Taiwan than in Hong Kong. And so hopefully we can go through that later on. And in my head, I think they're quite different, but that's how I remember it. Because the other background is I've been here since 2002. So then it's a bit a long time that if I remember that, you know, and what actually like for my childhood and for the Chinese New Year. But I think later on when we go through it, that, you know, we can definitely have a look, and then hopefully I think I see there is a few comments from the audience as well. I think it'd be quite good for the audience to share, you know, the kind of the in the opinions or what the experience is for Chinese New Year in London. So I think it'd be quite nice for the Chinese, you know, animal sign for people to look out. So I think a lot of people know that we've got 12 animal signs, and this year is the year of tiger. And usually when I do that with my girls, first thing they ask is, what animal signs am I? So I got this as well on Google, so everyone can look out, you know, what year you are. So Karen, don't want to put you on the spot. You can just tell us what animal signs you are. You don't need to tell me about a year.
You want me to tell you what animal sign I am? I'm a dragon.
You're a dragon. Here you go. So I'm a monkey. So, you know, you should, you know, make my girls laugh when I say that, you know, describe it. And Nicole, what year you are?
I'm a rat.
I think your colleague find it really amusing. But that's the things, you know, my brother was born in a year rat as well. So, you know, but I think the good thing about for the Chinese zodiac sign is it's every 12 years. So, and usually that's how I calculate it using my year to calculate back. So, you know, if I know that, you know, I met someone that, you know, the year of monkey. So I knew that they're either 12 years older than me or 12 years younger than me. Well, hopefully only 12. Sometimes actually nowadays 24 now. So that's a bit depressing. But I think that's the thing that, you know, we can look out for. And so I think Nicole kind of gone through about, you know, quite a lot of, you know, kind of traditional celebrations. So I try to capture it as a timeline, you know, and so to look at, you know, so before the actual Chinese New Year or actually for my family, we call it Lunar New Year. And then so that, you know, they got like, I think it's the lunar calendar, I think the 28th is the one that you try to clean the house. And then before the New Year's Eve, you're supposed to finish all your New Year's shopping already. And then, so New Year's Eve that, you know, you have reunion dinner. And then, you know, and also that I think they do have, in Taiwan, that we do have that kind of the not festival, I think it's custom that we try not to sleep. So that, you know, we try to stay up as late as possible. You know, I think that's the thing that's supposed to give you good fortune for the coming year. And then you got the spring couplet and then the wet ethanol, as people say, about the lucky money. And then New Year's Day, we've got the firecrackers and all the offerings to the ancestors. And or you go to different temples, you know, try to make a kind of the kind of blessing for the coming year. And then for the day 2 and day 7, you try to visit relatives and friends. And then most of the people actually go back to work on the day 8. And the day 15, there's a Lantern festival that, you know, actually got different lantern, and then you got sweet dumplings and firework at that time as well. So I think for this timeline, that I think I just want to kind of the group to kind of embrace it. Actually, Chinese New Year, not just one day. And actually for Chinese culture, that for the Lunar New Year, actually is a whole series of events for celebrations. I think in London, I think, from my experience that, you know, from my parents, from my grandma and grandpa, that usually when they ask me that is, what are you doing now? I say at work. Why are you at work? Because for them, they don't get it. Because, you know, in Hong Kong and Taiwan, that is off. It's like a bank holiday like Christmas. So usually that definitely for the first 3 days, the Chinese New Year, the second and third day is like a public holidays. And quite a lot of people, they don't really go back to work until after day 8. So I think that is a different cultures for that. And also that if you got your colleagues actually that celebrate Chinese New Year, that, you know, they do stay up late. So there's a chance that they may not. I think sometimes I think they will try to get the day off from work, because there's a time that, as Nico said, that you try to celebrate with your family, a bit like Christmas here. So it's quite important for Chinese culture to celebrate the Chinese New Year, because it's time for reunion, and it's the time that, you know, they're able to celebrate kind of the new start of the year in that sense. Anything else from the audience? Because I did see that, you know, actually I did see some audience that, you know, actually they got some comments on that. Hopefully I don't miss something that's important, because I need to say that I'm quite bad of embracing my culture, because usually I'm just too lazy of preparing anything. But my parents and my family, that, you know, they're quite big on that. No?
I mean, yeah, that's amazing.
So Karen,
I mean, there are lots of comments in the chat. There are lots of comments in the chat. If you like, I can read them out, and perhaps all of you can answer them. First of all, one from Lynn that talks about the red envelopes, and I know, Howey, you mentioned the red envelopes as well before. Is this right that you only hand the red envelopes called the Light C? Is that right? If you are married, you hand it over to young people. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the panel may be able to comment on it. For my family, you know, that's what it is. That, you know, that is supposed, you know, for you married, it's supposed to give the red envelope to anyone that is single, or not single but not married yet. But at the same time, I think it changes slightly for me. That, you know, it's just my preference. I don't believe in marriage, but I got my partner and I got my girls. So usually that, I do give, the lucky money to my niece and nephews. I give it to my grandma, give it to my parents, because I start earning now when I can't have so it is kind of the blessing money in that sense. So I think traditionally, I think they say that, it's only for the married people to give to the people who are not married. But I think within a family that, I think the rules maybe apply slightly differently. Because for me, that I see that as a gesture, I see that as, a good luck blessing. So in that sense, that I give that to, to anyone that I can, within reasons. Obviously, I'm not just like giving out money everywhere. I'm not to that extent yet.
Thank you. I wonder whether Howey or Nico want to comment on this.
Yeah, I would agree. Where I'm from, it's kind of gone in more like a present, to be honest. Like even on the birthdays now, sometimes I don't know if it's because they don't have time to find presents, but they just give us money in an IC, so it's kind of not just New Year's Day presents, if that makes sense. Where I'm from.
Yeah, I think what Nico said also apply to my family, that sometimes on my birthdays, if the adults are not prepared for any gifts, then they will give the red envelopes. But usually it is the generation of my grandparents, and usually the money in the red envelopes also depends on how much wish, or how much how is the relationship between the older person and the younger person.
Interesting. Thank you. I used to live in Liverpool, and they have a very old Chinese community in Liverpool. It was Chinatown, and I remember the celebrations, because actually Chinese New Year is important for Chinese people, but it's actually a really important part of the calendar in Western society. In the UK, so we do celebrate it. We do go to Chinatown and take part in celebrations. And you have the dragons. Isn't there a lion as well that touches its nose on the red envelope in front of people's houses? Or am I getting confused there?
I may start, Nico may be able to comment. I think, I think with the lion dance, I think sometimes that, I think it's as a gesture that, I think people may give the red envelope. So as I say that, a lot of times the kind of red envelope during the Chinese New Year will become like, actually a bit like Christmas presents. I would say that, actually like for my family, that we may give the red envelopes to our helpers or security guard at the stage, and then or someone that I would want to show some token of appreciations, so that kind of things that that will be just a gesture in that sense. And I think I'm not saying that I'm not going to make a comment just about money, but I think for Chinese culture, that if you go to any Chinese wedding, instead of wedding gift, quite often you give the money in the envelope as well. So I think I think it's just kind of the thing that I think people would thought that may be something that you can use it to get something you really need, instead of we try to guess what you really need and get you a lot of stuff that is not useful.
So it seems to be full of symbols. Actually, the next question is also about symbols, because you talked about 9 dishes. So it seems like the number 9 has a signification. And Chi Li mentioned about number 9 being long-lasting, eternal health and wealth, symbol for health and wealth. Is that right? Would any of you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think Nico may be able to do that, but I could not remember about the dishes. But I think yes, number 9 that it can be long-lasting. The other number that I know that is my grandma quite likes number 8. I think that is kind of implied to wealth as well. But I don't know that it's a fix for 9 dishes. That I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Experience.
Sorry.
Go first.
Sorry, yeah, I just remember the 9 dishes, to be honest, because maybe I don't know if we just love foods, but it was definitely a thing on Chinese New Year's Day, where we'd have 2 9-course meals. So it is a lot of food. That's what I remember from Chinese New Year's Day.
Like for my family, it doesn't need to be a dinner. Sometimes it can be a lunch on the New Year's Eve or in the day of the New Year. And also, I saw someone comment on the chat about the having no meat in the reunion dinner or the New Year Eve. In my city, in Guilin, the southern city in China, we don't have these traditions. But after I become vegan several years ago, my home family usually only have the vegan dinner, which is better for our health and the planet. And I remember one year when me and my family are walking to my grandparents' home, we met foreign friend. So that year we invite him to our house to have that meal with us. So I think we had a good time then. And sometimes I go for my grandparents in my dad's family at noon, and my mom's family at dinner. So so I will go to many relatives' place to have dinner.
Thank you. Did you want to say something yet? Sorry.
No. I think I just try to echo and the comments have been made so far. I don't think there will be like a fixed traditions in some way, and a bit like everyone celebrate Christmas slightly differently. How we're going to do a Christmas dinner, about the timing and everything, but definitely I think most of the time that it is a reunion dinner. So you're supposed to try to get together for the whole family. But how big your family is, how you're going to count your, what is your direct relatives and what is the distant relatives. I think everyone got a different judge for that for the family, but definitely I think usually that they do say that the reunion dinner that for Chinese culture they do have a lot of dishes. So it's not like you have one each, on your own plate in that sense. So, they do have, all the dishes right in the middle, and then so everyone can share as a reunion dinner. So, and quite often it's round table as well. I know it depends on your family, depends on your household setting. You've got round table, you've got round table. You've got square table, you've got square table in that sense.
Absolutely true. I wonder whether actually Chile or Lynn Hayter wanted to come in on here, because there's a lot of comments in the chat about actually the signification of fish and also about the order of the foods and what you eat, and fish meaning purity as opposed to eating meat which you can't eat the first day, etc. I wonder whether any of you two want to share something, if you're on the call still. Hi, welcome.
Hello, I have been here. I just didn't want to put the camera on. So I was born in the UK. My parents are from Hong Kong, and I've got sisters dotted around different parts of the country, but not country, the world, I should say. But because I was born in the UK, we don't celebrate it as well as we would if we were in Hong Kong. And my sister has always said that Chinese New Year in Hong Kong is actually quite boring, because everything's shut and it's all about visiting family, someone of which you don't particularly want to see. And it's just very expensive because you have to hand out all the laces, if you're married. If you're not married, it's, like happy days, you should be receiving more than you, like that. But there is obviously food. The kind of comments I made is just the things that I've picked up over the years. And as I've got older and moved out from the home where, we were celebrating it more, we do less and less every year, which is quite sad. We've seen all the foods that you put up. We put we have a vase of flowers. I can't remember. I don't know what that means exactly, but it's something good. And obviously fortune cookies. We have a lot of fortune cookies, which is not even very Chinese at all. It's just made up in San Francisco. So I think I go with what everyone else has said. It's you adapt it to what is good for you and how it works. The dishes, for example, we went out for a meal at the weekend for our reunion dinner, and we had 8 dishes as opposed to 9. But I've also added you don't have 7. 7 is not a good number. because that's for other, other rituals. And 4, as I'm sure most people have known, is not a good number for the Chinese because it rhymes with dead. A bit like no floor number 13 in an escalator because that's unlucky, a bit like that. So those are my 2 pennies. I'm happy that you put this on. It's really nice. I think for me, my children, I mean, they're now in secondary school, but during their primary school, they hardly ever did anything for Chinese New Year. It was always, there was Diwali was celebrated, there was Eid, but Chinese New Year for some reason just kind of goes unnoticed, which is quite a shame. I mean, there was a handful of Chinese people in all the schools that I've ever been to, so I guess that has a bearing on what was celebrated in the school and how much time they put towards it. But yeah, happy Chinese New Year to everybody. I think largely Year of the Tiger is good for everyone, but if you read anything bad, just ignore it. That's what I do.
Good advice. Thank you so much. Any more questions from anybody? It's a really lovely sharing platform, actually, and it's very important to go back to the essence and seeing how different people celebrate it differently. Mabindi, you've got a question. You got your hand up.
Hi, not so much of a question, but more so of a comment. And I think is it Lynn that just spoke? Did I say that wrong? Correct me.
It's pronounced Eileen. It's
Eileen.
Wrongly spelt, and it's actually meant to be my English name to make it easier, but it's made it worse. Anyway.
Okay. Thanks, Eileen. Just more so of a comment. Totally. When I was growing up, we never celebrated a Chinese New Year or the Lunar New Year in schools. But I've seen a shift. I have 2 young children, and my daughter, who's at nursery, came home last week with a dragon that she had made and a red envelope with like a chocolate coin, and they're doing more activities around that. And my son knew this morning that today is Chinese New Year, and they'd been talking about it in school. So there is still lots of work to do, but I just wanted to also point out that I think there's definitely a shift in recognizing the different celebrations.
Very important comment. Thank you very much. It's very true. I can second that this morning, and my children knew all about it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Karen, I think the important point, I think, is not just our colleagues. I think, for example, the patients that we see as well. Mm-hmm. If there's a reason they don't want to come during this time, there's a reason for it. But sometimes that, we are quite often just assume that, oh, Christmas, that's okay. You can miss your appointment. You can come at another time. But then, for Diwali or Eid and then Chinese New Year, we may not have the same principle. So I think it's about, understanding the population that we serve and understand the cultural difference. I think that's important. Doesn't mean that we expect everyone to celebrate, so, same as my grandma, if I ask her to celebrate Christmas, she would look at me, what Christmas? So, and as about things, it doesn't mean that we can't respect each other's, about the cultural difference that we comes from, and also that we respect about, the it's a celebration period, and then so we should embrace it and then respect each other, be kind. I think that's the important thing.
That's a really powerful comment. Thank you so much, Yat. It is about creating a shared experience and shared understanding, and it really does impact on health outcomes for our patients. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. So I've got a few slides that everyone that will see that, I thought it'd be quite nice that you see the flower market. I think it got mentioned. So, and that's not a real picture. So I only Google it because I have no pictures in my phone. I need to, apologize for that. So, but that's how busy it is. I remember that when I went to the flower market in Hong Kong, on usually it's the New Year's Eve. There's got lots of stores there, and then as I say that orchid is quite common. We got bamboo, and then we got the mandarin as well. I think that's means 12. And then, but usually that people pick the plant, the flowers or the mandarin or the bamboo, at the flower market and bring it home and then to decorate the house for that. And for Taiwan, I think it's slightly different. And then I do remember that for the New Year's Day that usually when we go to different temples, and we mentioned about the vegan diet, I think my grandma usually not vegan, actually my grandma only do vegetarian on a New Year's Day. But I think there is a choice that she made that, you know, apparently that they give you there's the cow of the offerings, the ancestors, or to the God that she believes in, and then so that, you know, so usually they say that, you know, they don't want to kill animals on that day, you know, that is kind of the offerings that my grandma did in that sense. At the end, firework, you know, so that, you know, the firework that I think is got a different landmark. So on the left hand side we've got Hong Kong, and the right hand side we've got Taiwan. I think there is a more recent pictures. So here there is a Taipei 101, and then here that you can see the Hong Kong's the night scenes in that sense. If I ask me when was the last time I see the firework, you know, both Hong Kong and Taiwan, that I would think that it was me in my secondary school. So that may be about, I don't know, 30 years ago or something like that. So I will not really remember that much. And right at the end, that's what actually I do want to use a platform to plug. You know, I use of England HP Ethnic Minority Network. So there's a network that we created from the HP strategies that, you know, so it's the kind of the feedback from our focus group meeting that we've done in East of England, that we feel like there's a need of creating a safe platform for HP colleagues that want to raise any ethnicity related issues. So there's a key contact here is that, you know, feel free to give us a shout if you want to join the network. Although I know that Brompton may be more close to London, but at the same time that, you know, there's something that we're able to apply in East of England for the regions, feel free to give us a shout and join the network. Usually we do a monthly meeting, and then we've got different workshops, and that we're able to kind of connect people, or shall I say that we're able to, you know, talk to and discuss specific issues within the network members. So I would say that give us a shout if you want to join the network, and then we can go from there.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. I have put in the chat, by the way, just before we wrap up, I have put in the chat a link to a survey, and would really appreciate. So the team behind the Culture Cafe is Ras Kahai and Pooja Trivedi and Karen Taylor and myself, and we'd love some feedback as to what works and what doesn't work, because then it helps us plan other sessions that actually matter to us. And again, like echoing what Yat says, is about creating a shared understanding and compassion and listening to stories and you know, open up our horizons. So does anyone have any final comments they'd like to make? Maybe our speakers or maybe someone from the audience? Is there anything in the chat? There are lots of people saying Happy Chinese New Year to everyone. It's been a really lovely session, so I can only just thank you all for coming.
Yeah, Karen, I think Liz got the hands up.
Liz, go ahead.
Oh, that's all right. And there I am typing like a mad person. I'm from Guy's and St. Thomas's. I think this is absolutely wonderful. It is an amazing platform, and what a lovely, lovely afternoon. Thank you so much to the speakers. And this has been a real privilege to be invited. And please come and do this with us. It will be amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you. Well, I mean, thank you very much to our speakers. Thank you, Howey, for taking the time today. I know you were very busy as well with other things. Thank you, Nico. Thank you, Yat. And wishing you all a very happy New Year and all the best for the Year of the Tiger and beyond. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks for inviting.
It was fantastic. Thank you so much, Howey. How
well
are
done,
you?
Karen.
Who's that, Brian? Hey, Brian,
Yeah.
how's it going?
Yeah, good dance, mate.
Coming.
Really good idea. Well done.
Nah, it's always good, isn't it?
I think it's a good
Fantastic.
idea to do a related action in the Chinatown to raise the awareness of the air pollution connected to the Spring Festival in China. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really interesting point, because we never think about it, actually. So there's the regulations on the same here, you know, about there are a lot of fireworks, and there's, you know, it's mostly about safety, not about air pollution. So are there just fireworks everywhere in China? Is that what they're just fired everywhere? What's the situation there?
So like several years ago, because these regulations on the air pollution only begins in maybe 2017 or 18. So around the years that these regulations just came out, there is still people are not really obey to it. This regulation, it is mainly only have this regulation on the city area, urban areas, but not the rural areas. And I think last year and the year before, when I was still in China, I feel the air pollution better. And yeah, so and I think Spring Festival sometimes can also make people who are outside of their family, away from their family, but cannot go back home, to feel loneliness or miss their home. Yesterday I just talked to my friend when because she's a climate activist, so so there is some difficult situation with her home and also herself, so she feel like a bit of loneliness because activists in China are relatively hard to accept by the society. But that's also the reason why we'll continue to letting more Chinese people, even in the UK, to use every opportunity to think that how China or other global South countries are affected by the climate, and to do something in your daily lives to try to make the things better.
I remember when you did the performance of the to do with the flooding, the kind of symbolic performing arts session in Chinatown. Actually, did you get much response from the people in Chinatown?
Because in the Chinatown, I think in London, maybe 4 out of 10 people are Chinese people. Others are from other ethnic groups. But there is always like 20 or 30 people are around, surrounding us to see what we are doing. It is a setting that a person lie down on the ground with a white sheet on his body, as body died because of the Zhengzhou floods in July last year, because there is a huge floods. I think maybe you remember the pictures and videos that people are stuck in the subway and almost being choked because of the devastating floods. Also, in my city, the year before, there are the largest floods in the last 200 years. So it's a setting of a person lying on the ground, and also the video of the Zhengzhou flood as the memorial plaque. And in front of it, there is the fruits and also the candles, because usually in Chinese memorial, there is the these settings. So that time there is also the talks from the Chinese or Hong Kong activists. So I think many people are filming and taking photos, because there is not so much advocates in the Chinatown, public advocates. I think it's a very successful event.
Yeah, it was very powerful, and it was a very powerful image. I'm glad it had an impact. Thank you, Howey, for sharing this. It's very important.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop the recording. Hang on a second, and stop recording. Here we go.